Record. Here we go, people. Right. Why do we age? What is the purpose of aging? And this is gonna get into some stuff that if you're watching this, you're probably like, what rabbit hole am I going down here? But what's the purpose of aging? Why don't we come out of the womb as a little mini me? And I mean, when I say that, I mean like an exact miniature version of a fully grown man, but the miniature version, a scale model, if you like, that then grows into the real man, 20 years. Even if we came out as an infant that wasn't as we do now, what's the purpose of aging past 20 years of age? I mean, what's the purpose of it? Start asking that question. I know what a scientist would say or an evolutionist would say. They would say that it weakens the older you get, the weaker you get. You're able to hang around if the species needs you, but in a case of the species not needing you, then you're the ones. The older you are, the more likely you are to croak it first. Okay. Don't know if I necessarily believe that. I guess also it's a way of ensuring that, to me, what it is a way of ensuring that the next generation has a chance, that you don't get a bunch of psychopathic individuals that decide they want to live forever. You know what I mean? You just couldn't have, without death, but this is not really what I'm talking about, but without death, you couldn't go on with the system that we've got. Okay, it just wouldn't work. You'd just have millions of people mounting up everywhere without death. But what I'm actually what I really want to get into is, why do we physically age? What is the purpose of physically aging for the species? Really, what is the purpose of it? Why not just have a cut-off time? At a certain time, boom, you just keel over without having to age in between. What really is the benefit of an individual aging? I can't see one. Okay. It seems to me like it's been programmed into us. Okay. It doesn't seem like it's just, because cells are constantly being regenerated. Okay. And if you look at the cycles of the world, you'll understand why we go through this cycle. But there's one interesting thing to note about seeing a physical change in oneself. When you see a physical change, you realize that you're not the same man or woman that you started off as. Okay? If we didn't see that physical change, would we have, I don't know, would we really believe that we change? We probably wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't say we probably wouldn't. I suspect there's some people out there that would think, no, I haven't changed at all. I mean, if you talk to some people, they don't feel like they've changed at all. Yet there's a physical change that's happened. I guess where I'm going with this is, I'm just trying to open up a question to people, of, is there any logical reason to aging? Realistically speaking, in a perspective of survival, is there really any logical thing behind aging? And the answer would be no. There's not really. I'm not talking about just dying. I'm talking about aging. Okay, it's the precursor to death usually. But Why couldn't you just stay as you were when you were 20 years old and not change at all, and then just croak it, after a certain amount of years? Why do we need this physical representation of change? I'll tell you why. This is my theory on it. It's nature telling us that you've changed. It's nature telling you that you're a different man or woman to the day you were born, or to the day you were born, to the day you were created. Okay, you're different. Okay, what does this mean for us as people? What it means, and it's quite deep, this, and it takes a lot to get your head wrapped around. Okay, but what it means is that, and I'm going to break into contracts here now, and contract law, and I'm not going to delve too far into it because I don't want to complicate it out for people that don't know anything about the legal system and the trap you're in right now. But what it really means, in terms of you making an agreement to do something for the rest of your life, whether it was your will at the time or whether it was against your will but you just accepted it, or whether it was something you needed to agree to in order to make a living at some point in time when you thought it was a good idea, but now it's not such a good idea, but you're trapped in this contract. Okay, the point that I'm trying to get across is that you are physically different. You are physically and spiritually and mentally and any other capacity that you have, you are different from when you started life. Okay, what does that mean? In order to make a contract, okay, you make an agreement at a set period in time for a set number of years or whatever. But when you sign that contract, you are a certain person. Okay, are you that same person for the rest of your life? I mean, scientists will tell you within 7 years you've replaced all the cells in your body. Are you the same person for your entire life? Okay, and if you're watching this and you know about the legal system and everything else, I'm using person in a loose sense here. But are you the same man or woman or person that you were when you started life? And the answer is no. Are you the same man or woman when you sign that contract? Are you physically the same man or woman to the person that originally signed the contract? You're not. Can the ideas of that man or woman have an impact on the ideas of the future man or woman? They can't. Okay, so this is the point I'm trying to get across, is that the idea of having a contract, okay, now you can enter into a contract and decide to go into a contract, say you're going to stick to the rules of the contract and stick to them because that's your belief, and you want to stick to your word. But is it your word, or was it the word of somebody that was a little bit different from you in the past? 8 minutes would be great to do a video under 10. Okay, I'll spell it out one more time. When you make a contract, okay, at a set point in time for a set amount of time, I'm not talking about just making a trade with somebody. I'm talking about, just a straight, I'm not talking about a straight transaction. I'm talking about a contract, like a mortgage or something, Are you the same person that entered into that agreement at the start of the agreement as you are during the agreement and towards the end of the agreement? You're not. There's no, let's put it this way, there's no way one thing can vouch for the other. You can't vouch for what you're going to be like in the future. You're vouching for a different human being. Even though you have this idea of being one thing, you're constantly changing. You're constantly getting older. It's a physical representation of what is going on in your, underneath all this, So a contract cannot be made over a certain period of time. I'm trying to think of different ways to explain this. I've done it in some other videos, and I'm just trying to work around the subject, because some people understand things differently, You're not the same person, okay? That person in the past doesn't exist anymore. There's a different person anyway. That contract cannot apply to you. But what you do is, if the contract is beneficial to you, if you have value in the contract, you stick to it, okay? And the other party sticks to it. But when you're enslaved by a contract, does that contract have any jurisdiction over you? If you mistakenly go into a contract in the past, does that contract have any jurisdiction over you? No, because you're a different person. So the only way a contract really works is if you maintain your consent to it. Okay, that's the only way a contract works over a long-term period. If you don't consent to it anymore, it doesn't work. Okay, because you have to ongoingly give your consent. Every second that passes, you have to give your consent to that contract. And you can rescind, renounce, revoke, whatever the word is. You can take back your consent at any time, okay? Because you're not actually taking back your consent, because you actually have to give your consent every moment. Okay, this is what people don't understand. If you went into court and said, they're trying to pin something on you, you said, well, number one, I don't consent to that contract anymore, and in fact, you need to prove that I'm giving my consent ongoingly for it, and they just can't do it. Anyway, bit off topic there at the end, because there'll be a lot of people that'll just be, what is this guy talking about? I don't understand this at all. But that is the purpose of aging, is to give you the physical representation, so you can interpret natural law. And the biggest con that's going on right now with mankind is this illusion of the matrix, which is the illusion of the legal system that you are within and controlled within, and that it has some kind of jurisdiction over you. Remember, people, something that's fictional, something that's based in fiction, has no jurisdiction in the real world at all. And I'll just leave it plainly and simply as that. If you like the videos, like, subscribe, leave a comment, call me an idiot, whatever. Don't really care. It's nice to get the word out there, so I need all those sort of little things that help the video. I'm not really that bothered myself, but it's nice to help other people, and if there's a little nugget in there that's useful to somebody else, we have to go through the rigmarole of like and subscribe and all that nonsense. So anyway, if you can, do it if you think it'll help somebody, because it is nice to help other people. Anyway, that's it for the video. If you want to know something else, check my other videos out. I got more stuff there, more research, more interesting things. Anyway, ciao for now. Bye.